folks, welcome to Board Game Breakfast, or Board Game Supper, maybe. This is much later than normal, and I apologize. I had planned to record this over the weekend. I was traveling with my family, and lo and behold, somebody might have forgot to brought the wrong mics for this. But that's all well and good. We're back. We're going to get the show going here. There's a lot of great stuff for you as normal in Board Game Breakfast / Supper, whatever we want to call it. Hey, the Dice Tower fundraiser is only 9 days from finishing. We've funded it, and we really appreciate that. So that is that. There's some stretch goals. Obviously, one of the stretch goals we wanted to get to was being able to get a recording studio / office for the Dice Tower. Doesn't look like we're going to reach that at this point in time, but that's all well and good. We are funded, so we'll do our best to produce as much content for you this year. There still is 9 days left for you to back us if you so desire, but and this is a very important thing for you to know this. If you back the Dice Tower and you are planning to do it still in the future, the Dice Tower fundraiser, using PayPal, you need to do that today or tomorrow. As of the 25th, Indiegogo is no longer accepting PayPal. There's various reasons behind it. It is what it is. But if you're going to use PayPal, you need to do so as soon as possible. So keep that in mind. Either way, we want to thank each and every person who has donated to our show. Thanks so very much. Speaking of the show, let's get to it. Days of Wonder has finally announced officially Yamatai. This is a Bruno Catala and Mark Paquin game. This is going to be a slightly heavier game similar to Five Tribes. They put up some pictures of it. It looks beautiful. We've known about this for a while now. They've been showing it off at conventions, but the official announcement is now out there. It'll be coming out this summer. Tabletopia, which is one of the places online where you can play games, has a Keyflower tournament. This is sponsored by the original makers of Keyflower, R&D Development from Richard Brees. So if you want to do that, you can win a free game or win some free time on Tabletopia. Think Fun has announced a new puzzles type game. They make a lot of different puzzle games, from lasers to circuits to obviously the Rush Hour, which is their most famous one. But this is Roller Coaster Challenge. I'm pretty pumped about this one. It looks neat where you're building a little roller coaster and trying to get the cars to go in the right spots. Yeah, that one. This is probably the most excited I've been about anything of theirs in a long time. There's some new stuff from Fantasy Flight for Star Wars Imperial Assault. Also, it is going to be another day, right? But this is kind of weird for me. All the things that they've announced now, that B21000, some new Imperial droids, a Jawa scavenger, okay, and then a Twi'lek hunter and such. This is all well and good. These new droids, which are for the Empire, are from a comic book series, I think. It just seems odd that they're already seeming to scrape the bottom of the barrel, but they've missed a lot of major characters, a lot of stuff that's coming. I guess maybe later. I can't imagine people are getting excited about this, but completionists, you have to have it all. Haba, this is going to get people really pumped, has announced Rhino Hero Super Battle. Now, Rhino Hero is one of those underground hits from Haba, in which you were stacking cards and moving a Rhino Hero to the top. But now Rhino Hero is fighting different people, and it looks like there's 2 towers attached. I don't know. It looks amazing, and it will be coming out very soon in Europe and later on in the year in the USA. Previously on our news segment, I talked about Unlock. Actually, it was in our top 10 anticipated games of the year. I was very pumped about Unlock, which is coming from Space Cowboys, but in America, coming from North America, Asmodee North America. The version in Europe is going to be all 3 sets together in one box. In America, they're going to be released 1 set at a time separately. So we look forward to that. Captain Sonar is getting an expansion called Captain Sonar Upgrade 1. What does that mean? I don't know, but Captain Sonar is amazing. If you want to see how Captain Sonar is played in our live marathon, you can go back and watch a game of it. I think we played 2 games back to back. Captain Sonar is just an amazingly fun time. I can't wait to see what they're going to add. I didn't think it needed anything else, but why not? Seventh Cross. This is a new game announced from Level 99, where they have thrown around words like Castlevania and Bloodborne and Betrayal at House on a Hill and Tales of Arabian Nights. Well, that's intriguing to me. There's a lot of other pictures and graphics, and it looks kind of cool. I mean, it looks like a typical Level 99 game, but that word Castlevania, you're going to be going through castles in this game and fighting? Oh, God. Well, we can hope. R&R Games has announced several games coming out this year, some small ones, but the one that I was able to play last year, Pyramid Poker. This is a 2-player game where you're building a pyramid with different suits on, and you can see half of them and not the other half, so it's kind of interesting as you're pulling them off, and it's a fascinating kind of push your luck deduction poker game. It's hard to explain, but check this one out when it comes out. And Catalyst has announced Con Man, the card game. Con Man is a web series with Alan Tudyk that was about a person who used to be part of a popular sci-fi show. It's kind of realistic in a sense, who now goes to conventions, and the other people who were part of his show are famous. I haven't seen the whole series, but Catalyst has a card game coming based on this game, or based on that series. Well, that's that. Let's go on to Kickstarter. Suzanne.
Happy breakfast, everybody. Demons, the Rising Dead, and trains. Let's take a quick look at what's happening in our crowdfunding world today. Vanguard of War is a cooperative tower defense game featuring some great-looking minis coming from Load Board Games. The demonic hordes have been long quiet, but they were just biding their time building an ultimate weapon, which you've stolen. You barely escaped and are taking a stand in an old church where you must fight through waves of demons until you can destroy that demon weapon. You can venture out into the ruins to look for power-ups, but you risk encountering dangerous traps. Vanguard of War includes at least 77 high-quality minis, and through the Kickstarter, it includes the Pale Rider expansion. There are also a bunch of optional add-on expansions that include new overlords and abominations. You can get a copy of Vanguard of War for a pledge of $110 plus shipping. In the gorgeous Kiwetan, you play as 4 spirits in a race. The different spirits have different shapes, and some of your movement on the board is based on that shape because you move with the winds. Random action tiles that are placed on the board will mix up the gameplay, which is a simple dice-based movement mechanism. But you combine dice rolls with your natural movement stats, and there are rune cards that let you influence the winds. This is the first campaign for Flyos Games, but they've partnered with the manufacturer of Warband and Vi to help them along with the production process. And Kiwetan has a simply beautiful art style, including the minis of your spirits. You can get a copy of Kiwetan for a pledge of $35 plus shipping. It's the late 1800s in Japan, and you're trying to expand the railroads across the country in Railways of Nippon. Part of the popular Railways of the World series from Glenn Drover and Martin Wallace, Railways of Nippon was created by Hisashi Hayashi, the designer of the popular Trains deck builder, Yokohama, and more. In the Railway series, you usually take on the role of a rail baron working to expand your railroad empire by expanding your lines, improving your engines, completing goals, and investing wisely overall. Gameplay is slightly heavier with an economic and route-building bent to it. The Nippon entry into this series is intended for a max of 4 players, so it's a bit smaller than some of the other boards. And if you already own Railways of the World, you can get a map and cards only set for Nippon for a pledge of $35 plus shipping. But if you want Railways of Nippon to be your first foray into this series, you can get the full game for a pledge of $45 plus shipping. Cool Mini or Not has launched The World of Smog, Rise of Moloch. Set in a steampunk London, the dead are being reanimated, and the rise of the ancient god Moloch is imminent. In this 1 versus many game, one player plays the Nemesis, while the others take on roles in the Unicorn Club, trying to thwart the destruction. You can play individual scenarios, or you can play as a campaign, with each chapter playing out differently, with different enemies and win conditions. Between chapters, you can upgrade your equipment, and while the resource Ether is used for some pretty powerful abilities, it is passed from the heroes to the monsters after it's used, meaning you have to pick the right moment to use it. As with all Cool Mini miniature games, there are a ton of stretch goals and Kickstarter exclusives in this campaign. You can get the base game for a pledge of $100 plus shipping, or for $120 plus shipping, you also get the Embassy expansion. Okay, that's all I've got for you this episode. Hopefully something caught your eye. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week.
Welcome to the miniature world. This Saturday night, with a little luck, and I like to thank everybody for all their well wishes on my wife, depending on her condition, we'll be starting our very first tabletop Saturday night here on the Dice Tower. I'm very excited about it. And what better game to start off with than one of my very, very favorites, and that's All Quiet on the Martian Front. We're going to be taking the base set and some added on things. Now, some history, we've fought a couple battles on my channel. Justin has won one. I've won one. This is the rubber match. We're going to be doing it on the desert. There's a scenario that we've picked and handpicked and thought and worked on and really made some nice scenery that I think you'll really enjoy. The main thing is to show you how easily that you can get into a miniatures game, and especially a game like this that's very easy, a lot of fun to put together, very easy to paint, very basic. We're going to start here. So maybe if you've been afraid to actually get into a miniatures game, this might be the thing for you. Now, also, there's been some great releases that we're actually going to put together this week, and hopefully I'll give you a link to where we'll be putting these together. We're going to be putting together the Mark IV flame tank. So I'm going to put it together, and I'm going to show you how to paint it, how to get it ready, and I'm also going to show you how to do some infantry and stuff like that. Because God knows Justin's going to need it as the humans, because I'm the aliens and I'm going to come pretty hard at him and hopefully win this rubber match. So I hope you will join us this Saturday night for Tabletop Saturday Night here on the Mighty DT. Until next week, I'm Rob Warren. We'll see you soon.
Okay, so on the Dice Tower this week, there are several things coming. I have a few reviews coming, including, Catch Me from Haba, Dragonstone Mine, Running with the Bulls, Papa Paolo. I'm going to be taking a second look at Rum and Bones at the two new factions and talking about them. We also will have some live stuff coming, but what, where, when, why? I know why, because it's fun. What, where, when, I'm not sure. I'm going to be doing a live Q&A today. If you're watching this on Monday. Again, not sure exactly why, because I just got in a few minutes before recording this. So once I get everything started and going, just watch our channel for that. But we'll also be playing some live games this week. Again, not sure exactly when and where you'll see those live games. We will be doing a top 10 this week. The top 10 games that need to be dethroned. Oh, what game is this? What are we talking about? We don't even know yet. Well, we will know soon. That's coming out this week. So keep an eye on that. I'm also going to continue my best of publishers list. This week I'll be talking about Red Raven Games. I'll be talking about Catalyst Games and Yellow. 3 different companies. And I'll also be doing a top 10 pirate games, since a lot of people have asked for that. All that and more, especially podcasts. You can find out all that stuff. If you ever want to listen to Board Game Breakfast or other shows, you can go to dicetoweraudio.com. And several of our videos, we have the audio version of those. You can subscribe and listen to them in case you don't want to see this, which makes perfect sense. Let's keep going.
Advertising. If done correctly, you won't even notice that it's being done. Every now and then, an advertisement comes along that first captures my attention and then happily ransoms it back to me in exchange for quality goods and services. Especially if an advertisement is carefully crafted to create a correlation with something that I crave, like board games. And this is why a recent Twitter post by beef and cheddar peddler Arby's was able to gain my attention through the cacophony of advertising noise, carving a thinly sliced path to deliver their succulent message. Here was a tweet juxtapositioning Arby's with the modern-age board game classic Settlers of Catan. Well, my initial response to Arby's Catan-based ad was excitement. Is Arby's run by gamers? But then a doubt creeped in. That little voice in my head that usually just tells me all day that my hair looks perfect began to wonder whether Arby's really was into Catan or whether their geeky tweet was just a ploy to separate me from my hard-earned money. Money that I could be buying Star Wars Destiny booster packs with right now, even though I don't really want to. There was only one way to find out the answer to that question. I had to call Arby's bluff. So, I set out to survey the Arby's in my town to discover whether they Catan or to can't.
Hi, welcome to Arby's. What can I get for you today?
I'll take a beef and cheddar, and also I have a question. Do you know what Settlers of Catan is?
No, I don't know what that one is. I apologize.
No problem.
I wonder how many beef and cheddars I'm going to have to eat by the time I'm done with this.
Hello, welcome to Arby's.
By any chance, do you know what Settlers of Catan is?
I can't say that I do.
So there you have it. While the results were disappointing, the overall experience has left me optimistic about the growth of our beloved hobby. I mean, because this fringe hobby has grown enough that at least one corporation has mentioned it. And even if it was in an ad, that ad still helped spread the word to a wider audience. And if this trend continues, it may only be a matter of time until similar surveys yield the opposite results. I'll drink to that.
Hello everyone, it's lunchtime! Today we're going to talk about Dreamwell. It's a game designed by Nick Little, featuring the art of Tara McPherson, published by Action Phase Games. It plays in about 45 minutes for ages 14 and up in 2 to 4 players.
So in Dreamwell, you're trying to help your friends escape the Dreamwell. The objective is to complete 7 of your friend cards, and you do this by taking various actions like moving, turning a tile. You can also move off the board. You also want to be able to complete these friend cards because you gain special powers by doing so, which will help you win the game. So there are various ways to play. You can play the regular way, or you can play with the advanced variant or the nightmare variant. Both are excellent options, but for lunchtime you want to stick with normal play mode.
I love the art in this game. Oh my gosh, it's, you think it's kind of for a kid when you look at it, but some of it has a little bit of a darker look to it, but not scary, other than the girl. But it's nice because I like how you have to sometimes flip the tile, rotate the tile. There's a couple of different ways you have to manage how you move around the board. So it's a small board, but so much you can do to try to get your objectives done. So it's great.
I really enjoyed the choices that the players had in order to, take their actions. The art is fantastic. And yeah, it plays pretty quick. I really enjoyed this game.
Yeah, so definitely if you have a shorter lunch break, I would definitely stick to what we said before, the normal mode. But if you do have that extended time, you can definitely try the advanced or the nightmare variant. But it's a little difficult because you can actually flip tiles where it changes the type of illustration that's on there. And you're trying to finish your objective cards, so you're looking, you're like, oh my gosh, it doesn't match now because someone's flipped and, screwed me up a little bit. So it definitely makes it a little bit more difficult. So really liked the art on this game. Really enjoyed the puzzly aspect of this game. So I would definitely, I own it. So I'm looking forward to playing it again. What about you guys?
Well, we're going to be owning it hopefully very soon. So
definitely one we'll pull out again at lunchtime.
Definitely.
So that's it for now. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, today I want to address a question I got from John, and he talked about how his father had been in World War II and been part of some horrific battles where thousands of lives have been lost, and he often thought about those when he played certain World War games. And he wondered, when is it too soon to make/play a game about these things? World War II has now been so far in the past that very few people are alive today who would even remember it. So probably not too soon, but is it too soon, for example, to make a game about the events from 9/11? Is it too soon to do something about the political election in the United States that just happened? When it comes to talking about something that's too soon, there are usually three different things. It's usually battles, right? There's a lot of war games out there of different things that have happened. Then there are political, situations, political campaigns that have gone out, or maybe just a whole political area of strife, or maybe disasters, or just events that have happened in history. Disasters can be the trickiest, especially if they've happened in your lifetime, because you can know somebody who has suffered in that disaster, or you can also, even in a war, know someone who has lost their life in that war. And so it's kind of interesting. When I was a kid, a teenager, the first United States going into the Gulf, it was the conflict in the Gulf region when Iraq invaded Kuwait and then the United States responded. And I remember being very excited at the time. I was like, wow, I clipped out everything in the newspaper. They talked about all the different things and missiles. It was kind of this faraway concept for me, but I was very intrigued by the whole thing. I went to the library and I projected a map of Iraq and drew it on a poster, cut it up into things, and designed my own game about the invasion of Iraq. And I had a decks of chemical weapons and biological weapons and nuclear weapons. I used the pieces from Fortress America. I set it up in the room and I designed all this. And I remember my mother got very upset with me because her brother was currently over there serving. And I was like, well, okay. And my father said, look, he doesn't understand. I remember this conversation. I remember thinking, this isn't that big of a deal, is it? Well, yeah, I'm a doofus. It was a big deal. And it's intriguing to see how that can play out into games. Because, yeah, these things really can matter to some people. There are different themes in games that will really affect some people otherwise. If I play any game, for example, where there might be the death of a child. I remember when Portal games came out with Duke de la Cleche, in it there was a possible miscarriage. And since my wife has had several miscarriages, and in fact we lost a baby after birth, that's the sort of thing that can really kind of resonate home with me. But I can't expect everyone to feel the same way about that. When it comes to these historical things, and is it too soon? Some games have a satirical look on things. I remember War of Terror. When that came out, that was a satirical look at the war on terror from all different directions. And it really offended many people, and other people were like, ha, ha, ha. I remember they offered to send me a copy, and I said, I don't know. And they're like, well, Hugo Chavez really likes it. And I was like, well, okay, I don't know how that really is supposed to change my mind in either way. And I was a little worried it was kind of a hot potato. There are other games like Freedom on the Underground Railroad who handle a very extremely sensitive topic, but do so from a historical perspective. So that you can take the satirical look, you can take the historical look, and sometimes you can take a biased look. If you go back to Nazi Germany, where they made games that were specifically biased against certain groups. It gets very tricky, right, when there's a very deliberate bad guy. So sometimes, especially if you go back and play different battles in history, there's one side who generally we agree they were maybe the aggressor or the bad guys in a situation. And who wants to be that bad guy? Freedom, the Underground Railroad got around that by everyone was cooperative against the slave owners, against the bad guys in that situation. But what if it's a political thing? Then people are going to be very much opposed to who is the bad guy in this situation. One of the reasons I think that Twilight Struggle is so popular is because, well, at least when the game came out, the Cold War was over, right? So it was something that was finished. And the game never really said the communists are bad guys and America is good. It let you play both sides and play out the whole thing. 1960 is about an election now that is 57 years in the past. And therefore, even though I'm sure that the tensions were extremely heightened at the time, and there still might be people who get upset about it, it is pretty far in the past. While there was Campaign Manager 2008 that came out, and I remember playing that with somebody, and I played one of the sides, and it doesn't matter which side I played, and I got into the rhetoric, right? Because I know the rhetoric of both sides, and so I was playing rhetoric, and the person I was playing against was very much opposed to the candidate that I was playing, and it made them extremely uncomfortable, and they did not enjoy the game because I was getting into that rhetoric, and I was like, oh, I better pull back here. But can you imagine if we made a game about 2016's election in the United States and you were playing either side and you could get into the rhetoric of that side? And that could really cause the other person to be uncomfortable. It could cause someone to get very angry because tensions are still extremely high. And again, there are going to be people who go into that and go, that side is definitely the bad guys, this side is definitely I can't believe you would want to play them type situation. So I would posit that perhaps a political game about 2016 is too soon. And I wouldn't even know when it wouldn't be too soon. No one wants to be the bad guys in these games. No one wants to play something that makes themselves uncomfortable. But sometimes it doesn't make you uncomfortable. World War II games don't make me that uncomfortable. I hope that they make me think. I hope I don't sit there and treat the death of people lightly. We could be silly, I blew up your tank, but yeah, there was an actual human being in that tank. But that doesn't represent anyone in particular. But what if it does? So I think in these situations, we need to be sensitive to these things. If I'm playing a political game, I need to be sensitive to the person that I'm playing against or the people I'm playing against and how their real life political views. It may be a good idea not to bring such a game to the table if somebody's going to get really upset about it. I need to be sensitive to events. I feel pretty confident I can play a game about the Titanic and not worry that someone at the table, like, oh, well, my mother was on a Titanic or something like that. I mean, it could happen, right? It could be that way. But for the most part, that's a very long historical thing. One of my favorite games is the Pompeii, where the volcano's exploding. Well, that's like thousands of years in the past. I don't think anyone's going too soon in that situation. But could we honestly make a game about rescuing people from the Twin Towers on 9/11? I think in that situation, you're going to have a higher chance of running into someone who is involved in that or knew somebody there, and that's a very sensitive topic. Let's say you're playing a game about the assassination of JFK. Again, there are still people around who that may be very highly sensitive. I think you have to be very careful when playing any kind of game that's historically or politically accurate, because there's a chance that we could offend others, and gaming is supposed to bring people together. I'm not saying these games should never be played or should never be thought of or should never even be designed. I am saying when playing them to be sensitive to the people you're playing with, to be sensitive to the people that you talk about with these games. And I know that we know that our side is right and I am okay in what I think, and the other side is being too finicky about this and they're overly sensitive. And you can't let overly sensitive people control your life either. But why do that? I can play Ticket to Ride. I don't think anyone's going to get upset about that. There are many games behind me where I don't think anyone's going to get upset over Roll for the Galaxy or Eldritch Horror. I mean, I don't think anyone's sitting around going, Cthulhu, he killed my wife. No, I don't think that's going to happen. So there are plenty of games that are ahistorical and that we can just play and have a good time with. And if you want to play those historical games, I'm sure you can find people to do it with. Just be cautious that sometimes any game might be too soon when placed in a historical context. What do you guys think about this? How long? Is there a certain time limit? Do you think 50 years is good to make a game about something? Do you think some events should never have a game made about them? Let me know. Tell me about it. Meanwhile, let's keep going.
Hi guys. Scientists at Yale University have been studying the brain. Their hypothesis is that a small part of the brain plays a key role in controlling hunting behavior. So they've been experimenting on mice. And this week they published their findings in the journal Cell. They found out that when they connect a blue laser to the brain of mice, they can control them and let them pursue or even deliver a fatal blow to whatever they want, thus creating the world's first mind-controlled hunting zombie mice. This week I am playing a game that is full of zombies, where a small group of people tries to scavenge for supplies and tries to survive. Oh, and did I mention the freezing cold? This week I am playing Dead of Winter. In Dead of Winter, each player controls different characters, all with a very nice background story. And on your turn you perform certain actions that helps everyone get closer to the common goal of the chosen scenario. Now, part of the fun of the game is that each player gets an extra secret assignment. You will want to help the common goal, but will want to make sure that your own goal is met as well. And then of course some goals will flip the game around for you, because you might want the group to fail, and that makes you the Trader. What makes this game stand out for me is the use of the crossroads cards. When it is my turn, my neighbor will pick up a card and read it, and sometimes my actions will trigger that card to come in effect, giving me and the group a choice that can turn the game around again. Dead of Winter is a story-centric game, filled to the brim with theme. I highly recommend it. Thanks for watching. My name is Dave Luzat. See you next week, everyone.
At the shelf again. So here we have some games that are extremely popular. Thunderstone Advance, which takes up 2 boxes. This is one whenever I show people, they got annoyed. They're like, man, we can't find this one, it's out of print. But hey, this year Thunderstone Quest is coming out, which is the 3rd edition of this. Hopefully that will solve problems. Still one of my favorite deck building games, period. Then we have Imperial Assault. This one is actually not going to be here long. Why? Because one of the people I play this with the most is Sam, and Sam has everything for Imperial Assault, and I have some stuff for it. I have a few of the expansions, but mostly just the base game. It's a great game, but if I'm going to play it, why should we both own copies of it? Pillars of the Earth. Yeah, they're reprinting it this year, so finally you guys are going to be able to experience what a great worker placement game this is. Love this one a lot. Good theme, lots of fun worker placement. Libertalia. I really enjoy Libertalia very much. This is a game basically where you're playing pirate cards, trying to maneuver to the front of the boat or trying to maneuver to the right spot to beat up on the other players. A lot of fun. It's like Citadels on steroids. Xenoship. This is like one of the most underrated games I know of. It is a deck building game where you're fighting aliens on a planet. I really like this one. There's 2 versions of it. This is Xenoship's Onslaught. There's the sequel to it, which was essentially the same game but on a different planet. Both of them are a lot of fun. I enjoy it. And Spectre Ops. This is one you don't hear as much about anymore, but it's a great deduction game in which one person is essentially Snake from or Solid Snake, I guess, maybe. But that's not exactly the character you are, but you're going through. All the other players are trying to catch you before you complete your mission. So it's kind of like Scotland Yard, but a little bit more thinky, I think, than Scotland Yard, and with weapons. So that's kind of cool. Spectre Ops. So that is another shelf.
Hey, this is Mike with the Board Game Makeover. I wanted to ask you a question. Have you ever played a game where you're working with commodities, but the pictures don't look or remind you of that commodity that you're playing? Well, this has happened to me last time I played Medici. This is the Kickstarter back version. Love the game. But when you're playing with cards like that, looks like Crunchberries. So what do I call it? I called it Crunchberries. And some of the cards here, I mean, this is actually spices. I understand that, but hard to tell. So what that did was made me think, why doesn't this game get modernized? So that's what I'm working on. Let me show you how far I've gotten. In Medici, you're trading commodities and putting them into your ship. And there's 5 different commodities. I modernized it so that the game now uses the 4 major food groups, which is candy, candy cane, candy corn, and syrup. Oh wait, that's Elf. And my kids. Instead, we'll be using the real 4 major food groups, which is fruits and vegetables, proteins, dairy, and grains breads. I separated the fruits and vegetables into 2 separate categories to give us that 5th category that we needed for this game. And instead of putting them in a ship, we're going to put them in cupboards. And these cupboards represent how much you can put in there before it's full. So this is getting a little more fun now. And then I also, the board is awesome because it's just a good sized board. And you know, if you've seen this, you know it looks like this. Well, I took the other side of the board and created a new board that has the 5 different groups on it, where you got the fruits, the vegetables, the breads and grains, and dairies and sugars. And now, instead of the other commodities, I've modernized it with the 5 major food groups. Next week, I will finish the cards, and then I'll have this theme completed. Thanks for watching the Board Game Makeover. We'll see you next time.
Hey there and welcome, Neil Silverspreadspieler, and today in The Best and the Worst we are talking about Aeon's End. And let's figure out what I like on it. The best part on Aeon's End is by far from me. It's a deck builder with a really cool twist, and the cool twist is what the best thing is for me. It is that you really build a deck. Let's say this is your hand card. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 Aether to spend 1 spell. I don't explain what that is right now, but you have 4 currency to spend. So you buy a card like this, for an example, put it into your deck, and now you can decide how you discard these. Let's assume you use them, and it is going to the side for a second. Now you can use the order, you can play it, and later on, when this deck runs out of cards, you simply take this deck and put it face down here, so you never shuffle the cards again. Therefore, you are really building your deck. Literally, you are building your deck, and it's not add something to your deck, then shuffle and randomize it. However, on the other hand, it feels like a lot of other deck builders or / card games before this market is Dominion. This character is Sentinels of the Multiverse. Co-op Sentinels of the Multiverse. So there are a lot of games built in this game to make a cool game, and I have the feeling that I saw this mechanic once before, but I cannot remember what game it was. Anyway, it feels like just 3-4 old games put together in one game. Thanks for watching my best and worst here on the Dice Tower Network, and yeah, let me tell you your favorite part on Aeons, and then we see each other next week here in the Board Game Breakfast. Bye bye, Niels Solsbrettspiele. Have a great day.
Hello, my name's Dan, and this is Cora, and we're here today to talk to you about board games for children of around 5 and under. It's Cora, I've got a magic trick for you. Ready? See this finger? See this finger? 2 fingers! Whoa! No fingers! Today, we're doing a game all about magic. What is it, Cora?
Top That.
Top That.
In Top That, the players race each other to stack various bits of stage magician's equipment on top of each other. The trick being that some of them have to be hidden and others visible. Each round, a card is drawn from a deck which shows what needs to be in the stack. If the item's in colour, then it needs to be visible. If it's greyed out, then it needs to be present but hidden inside something else. And if it's not on the card, then it can't be in the stack. There's quite a bit of complicated spatial thinking going on in this game, and it's a really great one for stretching young kids' brains a bit. In fact, it's a little bit too complicated for me even. I'm okay playing Cora, but I took this to one of my games nights recently, and ended up coming in about 5 minutes after everyone else at the table. Therefore, I've decided I'm never taking it there again.
So Cora, what do you think about Top That?
I like it because I like sometimes I'm like really funny because like I hide something that I'm not supposed to be hiding.
It's really tricky sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah. Sometimes we do it as a race, which is tricky enough for me.
Yeah. Sometimes we do it as a race, but most of the time we use it as mainly a puzzle game, really. Again, this is another game that Cora isn't quite up to doing as a race, but she very much enjoys trying to work out the puzzle and things like that. No. So, Top That. 2 magical thumbs.
The friendly local game store. That bastion of hope. That fortress of understanding. With that kind of stale air, but in a good way. Like that box you keep all your memories in. Oh God, I still love you, Sarah. It turns out I live in what's known as a void, bereft of laughter and life. But that's enough about the West Midlands. It's kind of like the Midwest, but way greyer. I don't have a friendly local gaming store. I don't even have a local gaming store. If I was into Warhammer, my options would be great, but I'm not going to walk into a Games Workshop and try and get them to play Subdivision. You look so boring! Why? So, what's a person to do? No, and seriously, that wasn't rhetorical, I'm actually asking. How integral is a friendly local gaming store to your enjoyment of the hobby? And more importantly, why? Should people like me, without a friendly local gaming store, or even worse, a hostile local gaming store, search out, Further afield? Or should we just accept the truth, like Scully should have done by like season 3? Why didn't she want to believe? Come on. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you next week.
As a game guru, every once in a while, a game comes to your attention that simply changes everything. Today, I am thrilled to introduce to you Humpty Dumpty's Wall Game. You're welcome.
Well, that's it for another Board Game Breakfast. Come back for my live Q&A, which is sometime today, or tonight, or tomorrow for some of you who are in different time zones than me. I hope everyone's been having a great January. Don't forget, our fundraiser is still continuing on. Spread the word, tell other people about it. The more that comes in, the better we can make our shows for you. I already bought a couple wires just this week so that we can hopefully do some better live streaming. I'm going to continue to work with live streaming, continually to try to make that better. I think that's something that people are enjoying, so that's one of the areas that we're working on. We got a brand new camera. There's just different things that we're working on to constantly make our show better, and it's because of you all that we can do that. Thanks so much. Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast, Brunch, or Lunch, or Dinner, whatever it's called this week. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vassell and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production, sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., an amazing place to buy board games. Cool stuff in stock at CoolStuffInc.com.